All right, so I got to start off today because we have construction over here. I mean, for me, it's a lot different. For you, for me, it is right outside my window every single morning. And this morning, I woke up at 4:30 hearing them back up trucks. Then from 4:30 to 6:30 in the morning, they're backing up bobcats, unloading things outside. And for people that are listening and trying to understand how loud it is, I could open up my window right now and all you would hear is ee, ee, ee. I've yelled out the window like 10 times. I feel like a old woman like on a golf course that is upset with someone hitting golf balls out of their yard. And that kind of brings me into who we have with us today. My good buddy Mark. He lives at the same complex. Actually, it's a funny story how we met. It was I was at the pool one day and I said, "Hey, what's going on?" Within 5 minutes of a conversation, he said we should golf. I blew him off that weekend. 2 weeks later, then he said, "Hey, let's go golfing again." And I said, "Yeah, all right." And then from then on, well, we spent a 14-hour day that day. But Mark here with us. Mark,
Great
how
to
are
be
you?
here.
Yeah.
Great to be here with you today, Kyle. I give guys like a second chance, maybe a third chance, but was very disappointed in you for saying no that first time because I thought you were just flaking on me, but you stepped up. And yeah, we had a great day. One of the best rounds I've played. Broke 80, two birdies, should have been three. And yes, we did spend 14 straight hours together that day, having known each other for only 10 minutes.
Oh, I know. I still can't believe it. Like, I remember we sat there and we talked about it that night. I think probably 4 hours before we even split ways later on. And we kind of looked at each other and we're going, "Yeah, I think we've been together for a very long time today." And I go, "Yeah, I think so." And the whole day was kind of crazy. This kind of loopy day. I think we played
Right now,
18 and then we decided to eat some food. We ate some food and then we said, "Screw it, let's go jump back on and go play another 9 holes."
yeah.
And I think when you brought it up to me in the very beginning, you're like, "Oh," to your buddy, to Bruce, you're like, "I don't know if Kyle's going to be really that interested in doing that again. I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to be here anymore." I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, "Yeah, I'll go free golf again. Sure. I'm in, of course."
And you got better as the round went on. It was super fun. And yeah, got back to the complex. I probably smoked your ass in cornhole, which I tend to be. I'm either really good or really bad. But yeah, super fun to have everybody come over, and we live in a great place, and really happy to have you as a friend, buddy.
Yeah, so I kind of want to paint a picture for people that are listening,
Sure.
so a little bit about you.
Yep.
So obviously New England roots, obviously football, Boston, everything like that. Do you want to kind of give people a little synopsis, I guess, about yourself?
Yeah, like if I in like an abbreviated version, if to describe me or kind of who I am, or at this moment, it really starts with my New England roots. Born and raised, I'm 50, so born and raised in Boston, just outside in the suburbs. Huge football fan. Some of my best memories as a kid going to the Patriots games. Lived there for about half my life. And then the thing that really sort of changed my life for, I think really for the better was moving out of there. I thought I'd, come, go to San Diego for a couple of years and come back and, I go back and see family, but I've never returned as a resident. Lived in San Diego for 15 years. Definitely chilled me out. I grew up as kind of a, type a typical East Coaster, super in your face, argumentative. San Diego chilled me out quite a bit. Lived there for about 15 years. Got married there once. Got married there twice. And then I had an opportunity to go to Hawaii. And so that really chilled me out. So love Hawaii. I lived on the island of Oahu for 7 years. In fact, I'm going back on Monday for a short-term gig for about 90 to 120 days here. But Hawaii is amazing. Got some great friends. Always be a part of me, the Aloha spirit. But that sort of ran its course. It's tough watching live sports, live music. Those are things that I love so much. It's tough. I love to travel. It's a pain in the ass to travel anywhere. It's so expensive. It's so long. And so, I decided to come back almost 2 years ago. My short list was, Austin, Denver, and Scottsdale. And I chose Scottsdale because I've been here a number of times and love it. And I'm here, and it's bittersweet that I got to go on this gig, but COVID's been a bitch as it is, I'm sure, for a lot of people, and I haven't been working as a result of COVID. So happy for the opportunity, but it's bittersweet because this summer it was 110 degrees over 60 times, and it's finally cooled off. I'm finally ready for some, golf and moderate temperatures, and wearing flannels and pants, and I'm going to Hawaii, where I'm back to aloha shirts and slippers, as they call them, flip flops or sandals. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, paints a picture kind of me. I'm a finance guy. I've been in corporate finance for my entire career. Usually direct the financial operations of private companies, and that's what I'm doing. I'm actually going to be working for my old boss, running the financial operations of a medical cannabis dispensary, and they have a grow facility on Oahu. So
Wait, so does that mean that you get to actually use the product then, that you're technically?
That's what everybody says. And I don't know. My boss is he's a real stickler. At least he used to be. And it's a highly regulated industry, but I'm sure there's plenty of waste and things like that occur, or I got to get my medical card, I guess, and then maybe I can get the product at a really good price. So and I'd be very interested to see what happens here on the ballot, because in Arizona there's a possibility for recreational marijuana to be passed, and if that happens, I think it would be great from an industry perspective, and that's kind of part of the reason why I'm going to Hawaii, because I think I can get some, industry-specific experience and maybe parlay that into something pretty cool in the future when I come back in the spring.
Yeah, so I forget it. Hawaii is still only medicinal, right? It's still not recreational, right?
Yeah, Hawaii is very strange. You would think I have never been. I've had weed in front of me 10 times in my life. The first 40 years of my life. And the first month in Hawaii, it was around me all the time. You just smell it. It's just there, but it's illegal recreationally. But it's been since 2000. It's been able to be used medicinally, and I think it's going to take a long time. Hawaii, you would think, as a fairly liberal state, it would pass, and just the culture there. But they're kind of a little slow when it comes to things like gaming. They should probably have some gaming. Who wouldn't love to go to Hawaii, go to these big resorts and be able to gamble? I think maybe with COVID and the fact that the tourism industry has just been crushed, there might be an incentive to kind of allow for, another income stream for the government, related to the taxes that they would put on recreational. That's just not, medicinally, it's just not the market that it would be, obviously, if it was opened up recreationally. So hopefully that happens. And like as I said, I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, it's weird though, because if you really think about it, I mean, okay, for obviously most people that listen to the podcast understand. And I remember way back when, I'm not gonna name any names, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but I mean, I remember Maui Wowie was the like biggest name, right? It's like the biggest name of like a strain of herb, and
That's
the
my
fact that
favorite.
it's called Maui Wowie, and like they had songs about it way back. Like, I mean,
Yep.
I thought Hawaii would be number one, and it's just as funny that they're still not recreationally like legal. It's just a little, it's weird to me. I mean, I thought that like the first two would be Hawaii, then California, and
Yeah.
California kind of ended up following other people's footsteps,
Yeah.
right? And then it just is weird. It's weird to me.
Hawaii is a really special place, but I will say, depending on what you're talking about, whether it's the business culture, whether it's technology, whether it's like vegan restaurants, things like that, things that happen in California, they happen 10 years later in Hawaii. It's just the way it is. It's a very strange place that way to live, especially. But yeah, you say Maui Wowie, that's definitely one of my favorites. One thing funny about me is definitely didn't smoke weed until I was 46 years old. So it's taken a long time for me to sort of accept the culture, and I certainly really enjoy it. I think it's really kind of expanded how I think about things, and I'm much more creative than I ever once was. And yeah, it's super fun. We've never done it, but that's okay. Will happen one day probably, especially if it goes recreational.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's funny actually that you bring that up because I got a thing in the mail that said, what's on the ballot this year in Arizona? And I'm still an Illinois state resident, so technically I vote in Illinois. I can't vote in Arizona. And it's funny because I read the ballot and kind of what was going on, and they showed the Prop 207, which is the legalization of marijuana.
Yep.
And there's two pages that are arguments for it, right? And they're like maybe 7 or 8 like responses. Each one's about maybe eight sentences or so.
Yeah.
And then you have about 9 pages of against it. And I mean, every single person goes, you know, my son was addicted and ended up having like seizures, and I was like, no, there was an underlying issue there. Your kid had something else wrong with them, and that's why he started having them. Like, so it was kind of weird. Kind of, it's funny to read them just because people are so against it, which is so funny still. Like, it's 2020 where we're on the brink of possibly getting, sports betting legal across the United States soon. I mean, there's such a big market for it, and in a weird way that didn't really kind of come into the forefront until marijuana started pushing everything, right?
Yeah.
And I always thought about 5 years ago, I thought in my head, oh, in the next 5, 6, 7 years, weed will become legal. And now in my head, I'm thinking, I think sports gambling is going to be legal before weed is. And that's crazy. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to think about just because there's so much money to be made in that industry, obviously. And I mean, both industries really, but I really feel, I mean, Hawaii. I went to Hawaii once
Yeah.
when I was super young, 2002, I want to say. So I was
5.
6 years old. Yeah, 5, 6 years old.
I
And
hate
actually, I
bringing up
remember, I
dates.
remember all of it. I remember the hotel room. I remember the golf course we went and played on. I remember the beach. I remember all of it. So, I mean, we were on Kauai,
Yeah.
so it was cooler. And I will say, fun fact too. I almost went to school in Maui too. I mean, I think I told you already about it before, but I almost went to school in Maui, and I think if I would have done that, obviously I probably would have stayed there probably for a very long time.
Yeah, and you probably would have taken like 6 years to complete school. So I know my buddy, my really good friend, he lives on Big Island now. He went to UH on Oahu, and yeah, he was part of the 6 year program. I mean, it's got to be really hard to go to school when literally every day you can go to the beach. It's a really special place that way, and it's just, yeah, people move at a different pace. Super expensive, but super fun, and I really feel bad because they're getting crushed right now. I heard a lot of reports too about just how I'm thankful to be in Arizona because we're pretty relaxed related to the masks and things, and I've heard they're on lockdown there. There's mass Nazis everywhere. There's uniform groups that are like check on people. So,
Really?
I got to take a test this afternoon because I have to have a negative test within 72 hours upon landing. I got to quarantine for 14 days. And like I said, we know here, we went like right after COVID for maybe a month, things were really shut down other than takeout. That's where they are right now. Restaurant, if you go to a restaurant, you can only go with 5 people. And when you sit down, they take your information, like who the people are, where you live. It's crazy. And I'm not looking forward to that aspect at all. It's going to
Oh
be
yeah,
tough.
but that's. I mean, if you think about that's even worse than okay, because I mean, obviously you remember what it was like in Arizona. I think pre-summer really. I mean, pretty much in those first like 3 months. I think it was like March, April, May, kind of that area.
Yeah.
You really couldn't, you still couldn't. I mean, there's maybe like one or two restaurants you maybe could go and actually go to, but mostly it was all takeout or you get your food delivered.
Yep.
And even then it wasn't really that strict. It really wasn't. Like you walked in, you grabbed your food from someone. I mean, you're walking right up to someone, you're grabbing it, you're cool, you're good to go. See you later. I mean, even now too, it's funny, but it's not, right? It's because obviously my family's back in Illinois and they shut down again. They completely shut down to the point where everything's closing
Ugh,
um, and
awful.
it sucks for the businesses out there, but obviously it must be bad. I mean that they're shutting down again, right? But again, obviously there's a lot that goes into that, and I don't want to get into that because I don't
It's
really
just
care.
yeah, it's depressing,
Yeah,
and
it's not fun to
we've been
talk
talking
about.
about it for months. I will say I've been to Massachusetts, Utah, Nevada, California, Mexico. I think I'm missing one, but out of all those, only Utah was the one that was more open. They're in the green phase right now, and so no one was wearing masks at restaurants and stuff. The patrons were because they were coming from out of town. But yeah, I'm super thankful for Arizona, and I'm just nervous, when flu season comes or whatever, that there's some sort of second wave and we got to go back to it. But as I said, I'm going to be in Hawaii. It's going to be freaking awful.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I do want to ask first. I want to ask. So how was when you said went to Mexico? I believe we
Yep.
talked about it a little bit, but we didn't really talk
Sure.
about it too much.
Yep.
How was it down there? Did you is it different? Is it different than what you've experienced here?
From a COVID
Obviously,
perspective.
yeah.
Yeah. So I went down to Rocky Point, which I would strongly recommend, especially if you're, more on the younger side or more the casual side. Mexico always comes with your panhandlers and a little bit of volatility, but if you can handle that stuff, it's only 4 hours from here to be able to escape from the desert and be, kind of in the ocean, Sea of Cortez. It's fantastic. But I would say it was very similar to here. And you definitely felt there. There was a lot of Americans there, and most of those Americans are coming from Arizona, some from California. So it was the same thing, it's the silly thing where we wear the mask to enter the restaurant, we take them off when we sit, we wear them again to the bathroom, and wear them when we leave. So yeah, very similar to Arizona. And yeah, it's strongly. You said you had been, or maybe you were thinking
Yeah,
of
I've
going.
been. Yeah, I've been. It's
Yeah,
it's a fun time. We went for spring break. Spring break was super
yeah,
fun. It's kind of like it's like the cheaper version of people going to like Panama City or Panama
yeah,
Beach, right? Panama Beach in Texas, I believe it is, right? Or
yeah.
no, South Padre Island.
Florida, yeah, yeah,
Yep, South Padre Island is like a big and Panama Beach, I think in Florida.
right.
Those two are like
Yeah,
big spots. They're too
yep.
expensive. Like it's too expensive to go there. Go to Mexico. We were spending. I remember we went into the club one night and we spent like $6 on 4 drinks for per person, and you get them all four right away. So you're sitting there listening to music, bobbing your head with 4 drinks in your hand, going, "All right, I'll drink this one and this one and this one." Like it was interesting, and it's funny too because it's weird because everyone goes down there pretty much from ASU. Pretty much, it felt like because I ran into people that I've once or twice on campus or I've seen in class only, and then I'm
Yep.
down there, and since it's 18 plus too. Then you see a bunch of kids that are younger than me too that are in my classes, and I'm going, wait a second, like I saw you like 3 days ago, and you were too nervous to talk to someone in front of class, and now you're like grinding on some like old like Mexican lady. Like that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Mexico does that to you, man. That's what I said. I was talking to someone the other day. This might be a little embarrassing or a little too much information, but I've probably been in Mexico between Cabo and I've been to like Rosarita and Ensenada and now Rocky Point. So call it 100 days in my life. I have been over my skis 100 days, 99 days. Maybe I missed one because I was, vomiting or something. But that's what Mexico is, just a party, and everything is so cheap, and they work so hard for your, they try to take advantage of you a lot too. You got to watch out for that. But, they work so hard for the, American tips. And I love it. It turned my view around a little bit related to Arizona, because it's tough, man. When it's so hot here during the summer and you're just so tired of the dry and the heat, and it's hot down there and dry down there, but you got the ocean. So love it. And I couldn't believe how cheap of a 3-day staycation that thing was.
So I did want to bring up too because you all right, I will say I'll say it out loud. You did send me some notes, which I love. This is the first time I've ever gotten something from someone else saying, after me sending them something, for them to send me something back before it starts is the greatest thing in the world. I should almost like I'm gonna make people send me their notes now, and they're gonna be pissed off. They're gonna be, I don't want to do that anymore. You know, I don't want to be on a show. But it's funny because I see what you said here. You said love for exercise. In 2005, you were 230 pounds. Was it 230
Yep.
pounds of muscle, or was it like 230 pounds of drank too much soda and had too much McDonald's?
The latter. And I thought we'd go here. I'm going to show you a picture right now behind me of what I look like. Did I ever show you this picture?
I don't think so.
You're not going to believe this thing. See if I can get it. You see it?
Wait, on the left, right there.
I'm the fat guy. I can't tell. Yeah, I assume
White
left for you.
shirt, no jacket.
Yeah, yeah, that's me.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So I remember I was in Vegas. That's December 2005. Yeah, you didn't know this story, huh? My dad was like, he's like, Mark, because he's from Boston. Marky, I'm really nervous about you, Mark. I want you to get to the doctor. Yeah, I was just eating myself. I was not in a very happy marriage at the time. And yeah, she was feeding me good, and I ate a lot. I always remembered I used to have these Costco stretchy pants, and that's what I would wear every day to work because they're the only pants that fit me, and I couldn't wait to get home and get in sweatpants and eat. Yeah, so I was 230 and ended up losing, after having like sort of a come to Jesus, talk, ended up, losing weight pretty quick. I lost 20 pounds really quick. But what really turned it around for me was the gal I was dating at the time, became my fiance and wife now. I used to watch the Biggest Loser, and they used to have this body bug that you put on, and they used to, track your steps and your calorie burn or whatever. And I entered this Biggest Loser contest at work. I lost in 4 months. I was at 2,000. I was 200 pounds when we started. I put on like 10 pounds before January 1st to beef up, so I could lose some weight and win this thing. Went from 211 down to 160 in 4 months. So I lost 50 pounds. Very, very unhealthy. Did that once. The next year, they allowed me to enter the contest again. I gained all the weight back. How really unhealthy is that? Start again at 210. In 3 months, I lost 60 pounds. In order to do this, you have to have a deficit every day of 2,500 calories. That's 2/3 of a pound. You have to do that if you went one day and had a break even, you got to burn a 5,000 deficit the next day.
Yeah.
So it was super disgusting, but I won like $7,000. I can't believe they let me enter again. But that next time around, I said, all right, I got down to a really unhealthy weight, but I've been able to hold, kind of 170, 175 for years now. And it's just been part of my life. I love Orange Theory. I love to hike. I love to run. I ran this morning and hiked this morning. And anywhere I would live from now on would have to be warm weather that allows me to get out there and do it. And so it's a lifestyle for me now.
Are you okay? So are you able to kind of go into what did you? So that 4 months that you did in the 3 months. What kind of like what did you do? Did you just not eat? What was really going on?
Ran a lot, played a lot of pickup hoops, and really I would limit myself to like an apple, some pretzels, a chicken breast, like vegetables. I was so diligent. When I put my mind to something, like look out. And yeah, I wanted to win. So the last part of this last one, I'll tell you, there was another kid. He was a kid. He was probably your age at the time. I was around 40, probably. He was around 30, so a little older than you. But he did a great job. He was a Filipino kid, lost like 50 pounds. and I felt so bad for him that he didn't have a chance. Like there was no way I was going to let this kid win.
Oh
And
yeah.
but he was so good, lost all his weight. I actually gave him $1,000. Like it was winner take all. I gave him $1,000 because I thought he deserved. I felt so bad that he couldn't win, and I gave him some money. So, yeah, I wouldn't advocate it. I advocate things like intermittent fasting and things like that. It's all just calories in, calories out. So that's all it is. But the way I did it was super unhealthy. And I remember when it was done, I showed up in the morning at the bagel shop that I used to go to every day. And I hadn't gone for 3 months because I couldn't eat bagels for 3 months. And I was so excited to have a bagel and say hello to my old friends. There was a place that I went to on the way to work. And I went up and the girl didn't recognize me. I said, "Oh, it's Mark." And she's like she looked like a ghost. She was like, she thought I had cancer. Like I looked so emaciated, like it was awful. So yeah, not healthy, but it is. I am pretty infamous for my weight losses and my weight fluctuations. For sure.
I will say this though, from the picture, and so what I'll do is, if you're okay with it,
Yeah, sure.
if you want to send it to me later, that way we can kind of do side by side of you now and then, and we can post that on Instagram for everyone to see.
Yeah.
But I will say in that picture and how you are now, the hairline actually got better, and I didn't know that's possible.
Dude, I know it's all gray and stuff now, whatever, but I have no idea how I'm holding on. It's
well, I mean, in the picture, it looked like it was getting back there. It almost looked like LeBron James a little bit, where he's got to just shave the head already. And then now I'm like, wait a second. That's why I looked at it. I was like, no, that can't be you. Like, I don't know, but it's awesome, man. I mean, obviously you said it wasn't the healthiest way you did it, but like you said, I mean, I've known you for a few months here, and you really are like that. That is it's an addictive personality that you have because you're addicted to it. Like as soon as you know you want to get it done and you have to get it done your way, that's the way you're doing it. And it's a hard personality to get because some people can look in the mirror and say, I'm have that come to Jesus moment, really. Yeah. But then 2 weeks later, they could be like, I got to die of something, right? I'm good. And so it's respect for that because, I've had times where, I mean, okay, it's not that big of a thing, right? But I mean, okay, community college, I weighed 212 pounds. Ooh. Yeah, 212 pounds. And I remember looking at myself in a picture with my mom and my sister. And like my mom and my sister are a little shorter than me, right? Obviously, I mean, almost a good foot shorter than me, really. Yeah. And even though I looked at it, how I was dressed and how my neck looked and how everything else looked, I looked at it and I was like, I can't look like that anymore. I can't look like that anymore. And then I started coming to the realization that I wanted to transfer and get out of there. And then ended up pushing down from 210 back down to 190, where I've been my whole life, I feel like. But I feel you. But you have this addictive personality, which is great. It's great.
So I've been called CFOCD as a nickname because I'm a CFO. OCD, I think, channeled correctly, can be really great. It could be destructive, but if you channel it towards the right things, it can really be great. I want to show you one other picture. It's me around the same time. It's 2006. I'm at the Playboy Mansion, and I'm next to Mini-Me. Remember old Mini-Me?
Okay.
All right. I want you to see how fat I am. Look at my fingers. That's me next to Mini-Me. I could have eaten him, I think. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I think he died. He died a few years ago, right?
It's Vern something. He probably feels like a few years ago, but I bet you it's closer to 10. A lot of whatever you call those folks, short people or whatever, vertically challenged people, they tend not to live as long. And he had I saw him on the Surreal Life, and he definitely drank, and you can't really drink that much when you're that short. So I don't think he was very healthy, but funny little side note related to me and my fatness.
Yeah, right. I want to. I felt like I saw him on something. 2018. So only 2 years ago.
2 years? All right.
But I mean, He was an old man. That's that right there is kind of surprising because I know that there obviously is underlying issues, and he was a small guy and like obviously how you said it too, drinking. But I'm surprised. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
good life pretty much for a dude that like really probably didn't have. I mean, he's 2'8". Like he really didn't have much of a chance, and he made it big like that, which is so cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was a cool picture. I maybe that's the picture.
Yeah,
If
yeah, whatever, whichever one, I'll give them to you both. I don't mind. I wonder how he was found for the Austin Power movies, but that mini me character was fantastic and will live on forever.
Oh, see, I don't know if I want to know how all these people were chosen for these movies. Like,
Yeah,
especially, obviously, the what was it,
Weinstein.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
Obviously, I think I probably was a lot of computer generating, obviously, to like get that many people. But
Yeah,
still, you probably had to have at least 15 to 20 people. So that means they went and they probably put out a little ad and said, "Hey, if you're under 4'5", apply to this position. We're gonna paint your face completely orange, and you're gonna walk around, and we're gonna put a little weight on you, and you're gonna look like and you're gonna be called an Oompa Loompa your whole life."
yeah. I
So
think that or the Wizard of Oz, right? Yeah, I think Hollywood and these studios have a tremendous database of all these people, and that's how Yes, they do put back in the day, a newspaper or something on the internet, try to find people, but I think now it's a lot easier than it ever was because they just have a database. Like you always see these TV actors, these B actors or whatever. You don't know their names, but they're in all these movies and they're fantastic, and that people just know how to get them. So
well, it's funny too how you say that because I know that there's I remember seeing it one time. It was an actor that played the same exact name every single time in every movie. He was a Mexican dude. I forget his name, but it was like he played Juan or Caesar or something like that in every single movie. And
yeah,
he did it like 9 or 10 times, which is
yeah,
hilarious. But so there, that's why I brought this up because there's a guy on. I don't know if you ever seen the show Eastbound and Down.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eastbound and Down with Danny McBride. So there's
Love.
when they're in the Mexico scene, right? So they have the shorter dude, shorter Mexican dude. He was actually one of the Oompa Loompas in Willy Wonka. But then obviously
Really?
then fast forward to 2009 or what was that in 2011 probably when they were in Mexico in the Eastbound and Down.
Yeah.
And he was doing it and that was hilarious because he was like he was totally opposite character. Obviously, like the other one, you get the childhood movie kind of thing, and then in this one, he's like they're cockfighting. So
Yeah.
it's funny to see all that,
Yep.
but all right. So I do want to move forward here a
Sure.
little bit. I want to go to our game segment. So this is kind of something new, and I'm trying to
Okay.
figure out if this is something kind of we can do. It's kind of to it's what it is kind of to bring the audience to understand your strong suit, right? So I did obviously the politics one was tough with my
You don't do
2
it
days
with me.
ago. Now, so
Yeah.
I did one with politics 2 days ago, or 3 days ago. I did one, and it was funny because I brought up policies and quotes from Jorgensen, Trump, and Biden.
Yeah.
And my dad's a Democrat, and my cousin is he says he's independent, but he leans a little bit to the Republican side, but I think he also leans a little bit to the Democratic side. He's going to hear this and he's going to call me tomorrow and be, "Oh, you're talking about me again." But anyways, so I did that, because I wanted to see where their knowledge was at. And then yesterday I did one with my buddy Chris, where we all obviously did one for like pro athletes and where they've gone to college, because a lot of people are good with that stuff too.
I could do
So I
that.
know you've been golfing a lot in your life. You told me how many times you've golfed in your life.
Yeah. Now
So
I've only golfed for 10 years, but I've probably golfed 1,000 rounds.
see right there. So some of these, like I said, some of these are bigger named ones. Some of these are a little more local to where you were before, so you should get those.
Okay.
And then obviously a bonus point if you get them if you
I,
played
I'll,
there before. If you played there
okay.
before.
I hope
All
I
right.
do
So
well.
number one is Cypress Point Club.
Okay. Haven't played it. Is it in California?
It is California.
And is it NorCal? Is it kind of like like that Monterey area? Like with
It's one of
it's
the
like with
courses.
Spyglass.
So it's one of the courses for Pebble Beach.
Yeah, Pebble Beach. I've played Spanish Bay. I have not played Cypress. But yeah, there's four there: Pebble, Spanish, Spyglass, and Cypress. Yep.
All right, I'll give that one to you because you said
Pebble,
California. That's good.
yeah, Pebble Beach is on my list. That's a when my buddies who just came here last weekend, we played 4 rounds. They played maybe 12 years ago. It predated me picking up golf, and so I missed that trip. And that's an expensive one, buddy. I mean, that's $500 round golf. You know, it definitely will be a $5,000 weekend if you played.
Oh yeah, because you probably don't want to just go for one day. You probably want to do 2 days. You probably want to
Oh,
hit two of the
you got to play.
courses.
Yeah, you got to play at least three. You got to stay at the lodge, and they just get you. It's. I mean, that's magnificent. The key is to get there in like September or October, because that's your best chance of getting sort of a warm and possibly dry day, because the weather there is just really, really challenging.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. I have another one here for you. This one's a little more of exotic course. It is. I was about to tell you where it was. That's not good. So this one's kind of cool. This one I think would be super cool to play on, and it is called Fisher's Island.
Nope.
All right. So
Don't even know where it is.
Fisher's Island is actually considered to be New York.
Okay.
And it's actually a little island off of the Bay of Connecticut, off of Connecticut and New York. It's kind of like this little thing. So if you're looking at New York here, Long Island goes to here,
Yeah.
and then Connecticut is up here. It's like just south of Connecticut. It's way off. It's a small little island. It's called Fisher's Island. Um, it looks like a super cool course. I mean, the fact that you're on an island, I mean, there's no roads to get there. You have to take it by boat. So,
I have played on an island in Australia, which was amazing. Not to like name drop or something, but I have very little Northeast golf experience because that predated me golfing. So all my golf experience is either California, Hawaii, Arizona, or Mexico, probably. And I
okay.
played a couple times in Australia, and I didn't play in Europe.
All right. So that means that this next one might be a little difficult for you then.
Yeah.
The next one is called the Country Club, and it's Clyde/Squirrel.
Nope.
All right.
Don't
Well,
know.
all right. So this one is it's a golf club in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts.
No, well, that's where the marathon is. I once ran a marathon. Yep. I used to live in Newton, so it was right there. But again, I hated golf back then. Not until Tiger Woods did I really get into golf and, just watching it. And again, I didn't play till I was 40.
Yeah,
But
you golfed in Australia.
I did. I've been to Australia 3 times. It's a great place. And there's a place called Hamilton Island, which is just gorgeous. One of the nicest. I've actually played golf on Moorea in Tahiti, so I've done that too. But yeah, great place, beautiful, super high end, and yeah, had to rent clubs because we weren't going to take them all the way to Australia.
Oh yeah, no, right? I mean, that probably cost an arm and a leg right there. It's already cost an arm and a leg to get there, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
all right, I've never. So the farthest I've ever been is Chicago to the Big Island, then Big Island to Kauai, and then
Yeah.
obviously Chicago to Rome, and then Chicago to Poland as well.
Okay.
So that's like a 12-hour flight. How far is that flight for Australia?
For Australia, what was nice is I think the 3 times I went, I'm pretty sure I did it from Hawaii. So it was with the winds, one way it's 10 hours, the other way it's 12 hours, something along those lines. So it was really doable. The third time I did it, my buddy came from LA, which still isn't that bad because you can do it in one shot. But that's 16 hours, I think, from LA to, say, Sydney.
Yeah.
Yeah, love Sydney. Sydney would be, but when I moved from Hawaii and I was looking at places, I did look into New Zealand and Australia to move to, but they don't want, 48-year-old white males that are in finance. Like you need to either be married to somebody, or you're going to be like an engineer or really specific, and they're recruiting you and they're willing to get your, pay for your visa. You can go out there for a month, but they'll give you a 1-year visa, because if you're under 30, or it's either 30 or 31, if you want to do it, you don't have to have a job. They'll grant you a 1-year visa, and you can, make a life for yourself out there if you're able to do so. Me, on the other hand, I can only go, as a traveler, and then, maybe I get lucky and, actually interview someone likes me and they want to hire me, and then they'll pay for your visa and all those things. But you take a bit of a risk. But in your case, a lot easier. It's called age discrimination, and that's what they do there. But it's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Oh yeah. My sister went. My sister went a few. Well, okay, I say a few years ago, but it was like 10 years ago. She went. She actually got to. She was there for Christmas time. I don't know if she stayed there for New Year's. She might have came back just before New Year's, but she went out there, and I remember for Christmas, it was like Christmas Eve, and
Yep.
we're doing a Skype conversation,
Yep.
and it's like super pixelated, and it's like in the morning over there or something like that the next day, and it's
Yeah.
nighttime, it's like afternoon for us or whatever, and I was like, this
Yeah.
is cool, like, right.
Yes. The 3 times I went, you tip their summers and our winters, they're switched. So you want to go there in December, January. And all 3 times I went was between Christmas and, say, mid-January. I saw the Australian Open tennis. I saw Serena play over there. Um, but my point was, twice I saw the fireworks. It's the first fireworks show in the world, and you see them over the Sydney Bridge. I've been on a boat under there. Like, that was definitely one of my, favorite memories, and I've done it. I've done it twice. It's definitely recommended. Put it on your bucket list if you can go.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely a bucket list. It costs a little bit, but obviously that's definitely a.
Well, you're going to be a millionaire soon, anyways.
Yeah,
So,
right. That's what I think. That's what I
yeah,
think too. That's positive mindset.
absolutely.
So, all right. So now I'm getting a little easier ones for you, and then
Okay.
obviously so this one is called Riviera Country Club.
Yep. I never have played it. It's pretty well known because Tiger has had some events there. I don't even know if he's made the cut there. For whatever reason, that thing kills him. But yeah, that's, the hills, in around Hollywood, LA area. Beautiful. I had a good my childhood buddy would go and play with in LA from time to time. He could go because he had a member there, but never got to go. Uh, and it would have got crashed. I probably would have shot over 110 or something there. It's super hard.
All right. So this one will be a little harder then because you said you haven't not much on the well you said not much in the up in the north
Yep.
east, but I guess this doesn't consider. So I'm giving you a hint here. Okay,
Okay.
it's East Coast.
Okay.
And
So
it's the ocean course at I'm gonna butcher it's either
Kiwa. Kiwa.
Kiowa Island.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, I think, South Carolina. Um, South Carolina has that, which is amazing. They've hosted some majors. I've never played there. I've I've actually been to Hilton Head, which is unbelievable. And in Hilton Head, they have like the RGB Heritage. It's one of the courses over there. They got a nice lighthouse at the end. That really was what motivated me to play golf. At the time, I went with 4 couples, and we all went out pre this guy's golf trip. And at the end of like the 4 days with the couples, all the girls flew home, as did I, because I didn't golf. And it occurred to me, I'm like, 12 guys or 16 guys are coming in to play these courses in this beautiful area, and I'm going home. I'm like, something's wrong with this. I love competing and what have you, and being with the boys and drinking. And I love the whole thing about golf, music, gambling. It's just a great situation. And so the next week I entered into like a best ball scramble at a tournament, and never looked back. Never looked
Yeah.
back.
I love
Yep.
it. I love it. It's cool. It's cool. Like we talked about it before. So you said it's
Yep.
only been about 10 years, right, of just
Yep.
golf.
Yep.
And it's funny because, well, it's not funny because I hate it that you're better than me because I hate that. That's
I
my
don't know.
that's my I may be getting better, sure.
Just for now.
Yeah, but what I will say is I've been golfing since, like I said, I was in Hawaii with my father and my family, and I was 5 years old or 6 years old. We went to a golf course, and there's pictures of it. We saw giant iguanas sitting on the middle of the course, and there was one really cool hole in Hawaii and Kauai that we hit where it was a par three, and you hit on top of a waterfall. Waterfall's coming to the right, you hit
Yep.
over the waterfall damn near, and then go,
Yep.
obviously we probably didn't even make it onto the thing. It's more of just for the spectacle of just being there in the moment. But yeah, so that 5, 6 years old when I first grabbed the club and started swinging it, and then
Yep.
it wasn't until I was in high school, I think my junior year of high school, my uncle Mark. So it's funny because he was a big golfer too.
Yep.
RIP to him because, and not in the sense that he's dead, RIP to him that I haven't talked to him in, 8 years. But,
Yep.
so he got me into golf, really into golf. So he gave me his old set of clubs. He got himself a new set, and we would go golfing all the time. I had my license, so he said, come meet me, come spend the night at my house. We're going to go golfing this weekend. And when I'm thinking we're going golfing, like, okay, we're going 18 holes one day. No, we're hitting 36 on Friday, 36 on Saturday, and then we're hitting like 18 and then sneaking out like another 9 or something like that on Sunday. Like just too much golf. But he
Yep.
got me ingrained into it.
Good.
Props to him too, though. His son, I think he's a senior this year, or he might be going to, yeah, he's a senior this year, in high school, and he, I think something was going on where he couldn't play too many proactive sports. So he
Yeah.
kind of got him into golf. And he got him into golf, and the kid kills. He's a fantastic. He's won so many tournaments. I think about 2 years ago, he actually like took home like a little check plus like a big like a 55-inch Samsung TV
It's
for the winner. And this kid was going against like his freshman year of high school. He was playing varsity golf.
great.
So he's playing against 17 and 18-year-olds in golf in high school. So it was super cool to see. But yeah, so in high school is when he really got me into golfing,
Nice.
and from then on, my drive has always been like that. But I will say, my drive has gotten 1,000 times better. I've fixed it. I've realized what I had to do.
You mean you're not at a 45-degree angle to the left?
Not
Try to
anymore.
hit
Not anymore. I
trees?
face
Good.
straight down the fairway, and I figured out.
Can't wait to see that.
I figured it out. So the swing, what I always did was I put the ball in the middle of my stance when I would swing.
Yeah, it's got to be in your front.
So
front.
I put it now right on that front leg, right, almost straight with it.
Yeah.
But what I also do too is I still kind of lean a little bit further away,
Yeah.
just to kind of get the most power I can, because that's the biggest thing too. I have a lot of power, and I know I do, and then just coming through, just full swing, just trying to cream it.
Yeah.
But not trying to cream it, but really trying to get a lot of force come around on that backswing coming down, and just. The other day we marked it. It was a 265-yard drive, and like we marked it. Like I looked on the app, it said, I was like, I'm gonna put it right here, and he goes, and Jacob, and he goes, yeah, all right. So I looked at it, put it over this bunker at Orange Tree, and put it right over the bunker. And he looks at me and he goes, you put it over the bunker? I go, yeah. And he goes, that's like two. Remember we looked at it? And I go, yeah, it's like 265 right there. I go, that's what I'm talking about. Like, so it's huge that from the swing, because if I would have hit normally, probably would have only gone about 230, 220, right?
Yeah. Good for you. When all your royalty and your advertising dollars start coming in from your podcasts and your other business ventures, take a few lessons. I did it for a while. I think it hurt me for a little bit. Like you kind of get worse before you get better. But there's still things now that I have in the back of my mind that, especially when things go awry, you want to be able to when you do something wrong, know what you did wrong, because it's a miserable round if you just keep on repeating it if you don't know how to fix it. So although I'm, really not incrementally that much better than I was 3 years ago when I took the lessons, at least now when something goes sideways, I have a better chance of correcting it and not being miserable for the rest of the round.
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yeah.
All right, all right. I have more for you here. We're on the back end of this.
Okay.
All right, so this one you should know. I'm gonna butcher the name as well, but Moana Key Golf Course.
Um,
Championship 18-hole course built on, I'm not gonna give you that part. Cliff
it's
walks, ocean view.
Moana Kai. It's Kai.
KEA.
Ke. Oh, Mauna Kea. Yeah, it's on Big Island. I've
I
played
butchered
that.
it.
Not only have I played it, I've played it multiple times. And Mauna Kea, there's two of them there. There's Mauna Lani and Mauna Kea. It's on Kona. And Mauna Kea has a beautiful par three along the ocean. You can see it from a catamaran, like perfect. It's unbelievable. Mauna Lani's better. Mauna Lani has a south and north course. Mauna Lani has an island raised tee box over water to like a set, across the ocean, volcanic rock. That one's awesome. But yeah, Mauna Kea. No, well, my buddy Dan, who I've talked about him a few times with you. I'd love for you to meet him. He lives really close. His parents live just south of Mauna Kea, and he lives just northeast in Waimea.
Yeah, so this was like the third course I've seen with the $4 sign, so it's a little more expensive. It's like the restaurants when you look at them. It's like when
Yeah,
I go on a date and I go, all right, where should I take this person? And I start looking it up, and all of a sudden I start seeing like $2, $3 signs. I go, I go,
yeah.
you know what? You're gonna like me no matter what, so we'll go somewhere a little cheaper. It's cool.
I will let our listeners know a little bit of a tidbit. Hawaii is super expensive. You need to have a Hawaii ID or a Hawaii license, and then they give you what they call the Kama Aina discount. And so, if you want to play Mauna Kea today, right now, it would probably cost you $250. You could play a shitty course on Oahu, and it would cost you $150 or $175. I still have my Hawaii ID. I got one before I left a few years ago, which I'm taking with me for this 3 to 4 month gig. So you either get it a half price or $100 off. They essentially just screw the traveler, and it's mostly the Asian tourists because a lot of private courses in Asia. It's very expensive to play golf there. They're used to it, and they come to Hawaii and they want to play, and they'll play it and they'll pay it no matter what, and they really get them. So yeah, if you ever go, let me know because I'll steer you in the right way, because there's some courses that they still charge you super expensive rates and they're just not worth it. It'd be like paying. I played places on Oahu. So Orange Tree is a 3-star course, 2.5-star course as an example. We like it because it's cheap. It's flat. It's not too tough. But that course would be $70 for me, and it would be $170 for you. Orange Tree, like, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll charge you Orange Tree $100, in March and April when the peak rate's here. But that's just an example. It's just Hawaii is just super expensive.
Yeah. It's that's ridiculous that they give you that much of a discount too, which is
Yep.
kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool, right? All right,
Hey,
all right. So these next few are going to be good ones.
okay.
You should get the next two, and
Okay.
I want to think that you've golfed at both these next two.
Hope so.
All right, Mission Bay.
Mission Bay. So Mission Bay, is that the? I think I did that on Labor Day. There's a called Mission Bay Golf Course, and it's just I think it's a Muni. I played it with Kerry over Labor Day. I think it's a par 60. So if that's the one, yeah, I've played that one several times.
Yeah.
And you know how I have my birdie spreadsheet where you put all your birdies down? Can you really put birdies down when you play a par 3 course or you play a par 60 course? I do, as evidenced by the birdie that I got with you at Starfire on the par 3. I still put it on the list.
Yeah, Mission Bay. It's in San Diego.
Yep.
Mission Bay Drive. It's a night lit 18-hole
Yeah.
public course. That's the one.
I played it on the Sunday before Labor Day with Carrie. She
Yep.
did pretty good. She did really good too.
All right, so that's a bonus one right there. All right, then
Yeah.
the next one it's Balboa Park.
Yep. That's a Muni as well. I played it a lot before I moved out to Hawaii about 10 years ago. Really underrated course. A lot of narrow quirkiness to it. But in San Diego, if you get your San Diego golf card, you need to show proof of, like a driver's license, and then a San Diego, like, your utility statement, lease, whatever. As long as you can prove you're a San Diego resident, you get your San Diego golf card, and it allows you to play all these things super cheap. And you might have the next one on at so Torrey Pines is one of the finest municipal courses in the country. That one for you and me as non-residents of California, or even if we're residents of California, if we don't have a San Diego resident card, that would cost us $250 probably, where it'd be like $100 for us.
Yeah.
It's usually like $80 and then they charge you 40, for the cart, and you split it with your buddy. So you can get out of it. It might be a little bit more now, but back in the day I played that a few different times. Never broke 100. Rough, so different than Arizona, so high. Great course though. But yeah, Balboa, liked it. I don't think I have any birdies on my spreadsheet there.
All right. So I got two more. I don't know if you played this next one, and then my last one is going to be a harder one for you, but it's in the name, so it could be easy for you. For this next one, it's called Verde River Golf.
Nope.
Okay, so Verde River Golf is in Rio Verde, Arizona. So it's only about 35 minutes northeast of us. It's next to Tonto National Forest.
Okay.
So there's actually a river that runs through it, like right by the course. I looked it up yesterday. Now, obviously, this was out of the blue because obviously I'm looking up golf courses.
Yep.
And all of a sudden I typed in Arizona and I kind of zoomed out a little bit more and I found this one. And oh my goodness, it looks beautiful.
Look good.
It looks beautiful. So for an Arizona State resident, again, it's like $30 cheaper than what it is for normal.
Nice.
Right now, because it's not really peak season, it's like $80 for it's like $80 for residents and then a little bit more for non-residents. But I mean, when I tell you this course looks awesome, maybe it's just the community around there too, because it's like they have it like where you can live there on the course, and it's a very like it's a town / community into one thing. It has two courses. It's actually the other one is called Tonto Golf Course or something like that, and that like it looks so cool. That's why I brought it up, because I thought about it. I go, I could drive 35 minutes to go play golf somewhere, and especially if I have friends that are Arizona State residents. He'll run in and use his card, and we'll go play some really beautiful golf.
The nicest course I've played out here, we'll have to play sometime, is Quintero. It's listed as Peoria, but it's even further. It's 45 miles from us, and it's the nicest non-ocean public course I've ever played. Sometimes you get good rates. It's 170 now because rates have gone up. But I think it's by, I know you went recently to I think it was Lake Powell. It's either Lake Powell or Lake Pleasant. I think Lake Pleasant, it's really close to that. But that's the nicest one I played out here. You'll have to play that too, but I'll play that Tonto one with you as well.
Yeah. Yep. Those are the ones that popped out to me. All right. And then this final one, I believe, all right, this is going to jog my memory too, because I believe that it's actually, I have the towel, but I don't know if I do. So now I feel kind of dumb looking it up before I tell you what it is. So I know I'm right here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. So, okay, I do. I have okay. So let's see how visual you are with what I have. So on my golf bag, I have a towel. Okay. I'm not going to say what it was for, right? It's blue, white, yellow. Okay. Medina Country Club.
Yeah. And I should know that because there's been There's been a major, I think, played at Medina.
So there was a Ryder Cup there. That's what my
That's
golf bag. That's what on
yeah.
my towel. It's a Ryder Cup golf towel.
So is that Midwest? Is that Illinois or something? Because that's where you're from. Yep.
Yep,
Yep.
Illinois. So yeah, so that one was cool. My sister worked at Medina for that time period, and
Yep.
she was actually able to get like one person to come for one day. So obviously my dad went, and I think it was like she was able to get either the Thursday or the Friday. She wasn't able to get the second half of the Ryder Cup. She was able to get the Thursday or Friday before the cut,
Nice.
and um, or whatever. I don't know how that's how is that how they do Ryder Cup? Do they do the cuts still or no?
No,
Okay,
no,
but
they
obviously you call them. I would call them championship rounds, right? Saturday and Sunday are
sure.
championship rounds for sure.
Saturday and Sunday are the ones. Yeah, for
So
sure.
she got to go on like a Thursday or Friday for free. Like
Yeah.
got to go in, got to get a little
Yeah.
lanyard, walked in, got himself like he like bought himself a towel. He goes, yeah, I'll never do this ever again in my life. Like he goes, I'm never gonna pay for this. I'll
Right.
never pay for this. Why would I pay for to watch people play golf? Like
Yep.
I pay for myself to play bad golf. Why would I like pay to watch good golfers golf? Like
Yep.
that's not fun for me. Like we obviously it's fun. I would do it. I mean I think he's done it before, but obviously not for a big major like that. I mean, but obviously in Illinois, he got to do it for free. So he
Yep.
got Kyle for me, and that was super cool because I was like, yeah, like Kyle, you want this? I go, yeah. Like obviously I'm gonna take that from you. Like even if you didn't ask me, I was probably gonna steal from you anyways. Like
Yeah. I've been to the Sony Open on Oahu. That's this. It used to be the second major of the year, but now it's a wraparound season, so it's a little bit later. But it's still in mid-January. I've been to the U.S. Open at Torrey. I was there for the Sunday and Monday when Tiger on one leg put it into a playoff, and then they played the next day. I probably didn't go Monday, but I was there for the Sunday round. And I feel like I've been to one other one. I still want to go out here to the Waste Management. Haven't gone to that one,
still
but
never, huh?
yeah, that's the one definitely I want to do. My joke is it's the weekend of the Super Bowl every year, and the Patriots are always in the Super Bowl, and I go to the Super Bowl, so I can't go. But I had no excuse this year because the Patriots didn't make it, Chiefs did. But golf is a tough spectator sport. I think you can't have your cell phone on. And for years they took your cell phone. They wouldn't even let you bring them in, but they don't want you to talk. They don't want you to take pictures. Yeah, it's kind of a frustrating experience for me because all the things I like to do,
Oh
it's
yeah,
frowned upon.
right. Yeah. Well, so I did the TPC one back in February, or
Nice.
yeah, that was in February,
Yeah, it's usually the
and
first week of February.
and they were telling me about it a few years ago. It was when the Super Bowl was in Arizona.
Yep, I was
Um,
here that weekend.
and they
Yep.
said that they were like it was insane. I mean, because it's a party weekend, the whole weekend. I mean, from pretty
Wow.
much because the TPC stuff starts pretty much Tuesday and Wednesday, really. So
Yep.
pretty much from Tuesday to Monday night to Tuesday again, you're pretty so for one full week, you're pretty much just partying your
Yep.
ass off. I mean, just absolutely just balls to the wall, drinking, partying, and I was like, I was like, I don't know how it would last here. Like that'd be crazy.
It really is one of the best golf tournaments in the world. I mean, always the majors are fantastic, but in a way it's better because it's the one golf tournament where it's not frowned upon on certain holes especially 16, 17, and 18, where people are just loud as can be. So yeah, I love it. Got to go there. I just saw Dirks Bentley the Saturday night before the Super Bowl, and at the Eagle's Nest or Bird's Nest or whatever it's called. But yeah, it's a big party. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I live here. I mean, it really is a golf mecca. The Palm Springs, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, there's a few of them that rival it, but all year round, 200 golf courses. There's a bunch of private ones, bunch of public ones. It's a really special place, and it's not surprising to me that that's one of the best golf tournaments of the year, and it's here in Scottsdale.
Oh yeah,
It's a mile from our house.
yeah, right. Oh yeah, we can walk there. We can walk
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But so we went, and I remember my friend dropped us off. It was just me and my buddy. We ended up going meeting friends there, and I remember we were driving up and we were probably a good mile and a half from the actual core, like the main entrance of where you could get in. And the people said, you got to get out and walk from here. We're not letting you drive any further
Yep.
unless what? And I said, unless what? Like I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what am I in Mexico and I got to give you like a couple $100 so we can drive close? Like the hell is this? Like I thought we're in America. I thought I can drive anywhere. But
Yeah.
no, so they lock it all down and it's such a cool atmosphere. I mean, and especially it's funny because the clubs are there, so the clubs promote it, and
Yep.
they're all along that 18th hole right there. And
Mm.
on that 18th hole, they're all lined up and they're jamming out to music the entire time.
So
And like
awesome.
even when someone's teeing off, the music's bumping. But then if there's a ball that goes near them, then they'll like turn the music down a little bit. Then as soon as the ball is hit, boom, they pump that shit back up. Everyone's going nuts. No one's watching golf. Like
Uh,
the only time you're watching golf is I was actually lucky enough. I got to go sit at 16th hole, and we
Nice.
got to sit in the bleachers behind the green. And we got to see the final four golfers. So we got to see two pairs go. So we got to see the final. I think
Four.
actually
The,
yes,
the last two groups.
yeah,
Four.
and
You saw Webb Simpson and Tony Finau this year.
yes,
Yeah.
Tony Finau. I saw him, and
Yeah.
I didn't. And it's funny because at that point you're blitzed out of your mind, so you
Yeah.
have no idea who the hell is that. Like you're not even like I'm sitting there trying to think of who this golfer could be. I'm like looking at my phone with no service because you're like stuck in this like middle of nowhere, like trying to
Yeah.
figure out who the hell's golfing right now. And you don't really care, and you're screaming and yelling and people go off the green or something like that, and you're screaming at them, laughing at them, like you suck, like we all suck, but you suck, and
Yeah.
I'm just surprised there's not more fights and stuff. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you know what it is, Mark? I kind of compare it to a I compare it to like the Kentucky Derby of
Yeah.
golf.
Yeah.
Kentucky Derby they say is like
That's
it's
similar.
very high end, but it's also very trashy in the sense where people just get destroyed, and that's the
Yep.
exact same thing. It's like the classy sense of golf, but it's trashy because everyone just is drinking and screaming and
Yep. I've gone to some horse races in my life because I used to live near Del Mar and San Diego, but that should be on your bucket list as well to get to the Kentucky. I've never been, or the Breeders' Cup, or one of those, the majors or whatever they call them there, Triple Crown. Yeah, I definitely recommend Belmont Stakes or something, right?
Yeah. We actually, it's funny. I grew up on horse races every Sunday or every couple every like every I won't say every Sunday because if someone if my family listens to it they're gonna be like you're wrong. It was like every like second or third Sunday, pretty much during all that season. We'd go to church and then we'd run over and catch the horse races and
Nice.
my mom or myself or my dad would try to make some money. Obviously, I'd look at the book and I had no idea what I was looking at. And I'm like, I like the name of this horse. Give my dad $20 and be like, you should go put that in. He'd be like, yeah, okay. And then he'll go put something else in and then he'll win it and be like, oh, here you go, you won. I go, no, that wasn't the horse. He goes, it's okay, I fixed it for you. Like you didn't know what you're
I
talking about.
I always found horse racing a little funny how much it can be a family affair. And, obviously as a kid, I think you got to be 16 or something to go to the window, but maybe 18. But, it's not frowned upon, it's totally accepted. The kids looking at it, and it's always like, yeah, I like the name or whatever. And, it's not a really good example. I think we're getting a lot more accepting of gaming, and we talked about that earlier in the conversation. But, there's a lot of people would think that's a really terrible example to provide for your children to have them gambling at that age. And it doesn't it makes a lot of sense to me that you went to Vegas recently, you love gaming. I've loved gaming for a long time in my life, but it starts at an early age, and horse races are fun, man. People dress up, especially in Del Mar, over the weekend or the Friday post. I love it. It's all the beautiful people and some grinders, some really sketchy people too. But yeah, super fun.
It's a spectacle of it, and that's what and how you say it. It's like it's not a very I guess how you can say it is you can people kind of can look at it and say, oh, it's not a very good way to like raise your kid. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I think it is because you teach your kid that you just had a $20 bill in your hand. You could have gone and bought like, especially at that time. So a $20 bill for me, growing up, like, all right, like I'm 2/3 of a way from buying a video game. Like this is awesome, right? All of a
Mhm.
sudden, I lost that $20 bill. I'm going, wait a second, like, I got it. That's not good. So then, as I got older, I mean, I went to a couple horse races. Actually, it was funny. I mean, it's kind of like when you go golfing by yourself, right? Like, you don't
Yeah,
really tell everyone about it, but maybe you
yeah,
tell one person that, hey, I went golfing by myself today.
yeah,
But that's how it was. A couple times, like when I was in community college, I'd run over on a Friday because they did college specials. Show your college ID, you got like 2 free beers or something like that. But wasn't even 21 yet. I don't think.
yeah,
I was 19 or 20. But as long as you showed your college ID, you can get in, and like you get in for $0, and like you can sit wherever you want. So places packed. Sat for a couple of races and did it. And I did it a couple of times, like when I was like on a Friday, didn't have anything going on, ran over there real quick. People are like, "Where'd you go?" I'm like, "Oh, I went golfing." I didn't go golfing. I went to the horse races. Why not? It's beautiful outside. I want to go see if I can
yeah,
win some money. I never did good, but it's just funny because obviously how you said it, like I gamble now on sports, and it's actually made me realize more and more. Like obviously I make like these weird, crazy parlays that I decided to create,
yeah,
but I don't put a lot of money on those crazy ones.
yeah,
I put if I put a lot of money on something, it's something that I feel really confident about. If it's not something
sure,
I really feel confident about, like okay, here's $5 to win me a grand, sure, like I'll take that, like I'll take those odds. Like
yeah,
I mean, it's the same chance of me running the gas station right now and doing a scratch off and hopefully
right,
winning. Okay, so you know what I
yeah,
mean. So it's weird, but so I did want to bring up the point
sure,
because you just talked about it before, Super Bowls. Um,
sure,
so I'm seeing here 200 games.
yeah.
That's a lot of football games.
Yeah. I've been to more football games than baseball games, and that you would think it would be opposite because there's 100 or 80 home games versus 8 home games. Um, yeah, it was just something I started doing when I was 6 years old, and huge football fan. Most of those games, the Patriots were awful.
Yeah.
So from 1976 to I moved in 96. So for those 20 years, I went to a boatload of games, and I've gone to several after, usually not in Boston. Gone to Super Bowls or seen them at other places like Dallas or San Diego. Like I saw them play in Mexico. Um, but yeah, a ton of football games. And then one of my things is my dad took me. Oh, this is a nice little. You're gonna like this one. I probably told you. I was at the Chicago Bears whooping of the Patriots on January 20th, 1986. Bears 46-10. I was at that game. That was my first Super Bowl. My dad kind of introduced me to that then, and I've been to 7 since. 6 Pats games. I also was at the Raiders Buccaneers game because that was in San Diego. So yeah, love Super Bowls. I went to 3 in a row, 16, 17, and 18. I was at the Atlanta Falcons 28-3 comeback game. Was at that awesome Philly game in Minnesota that they ended up losing. Well, that other game was kind of boring, but they beat the Rams the next year. So yeah, I was at the 18-0 game that was played here in Glendale. I was at that game. I tried to go to the one in 2014. I was here for that one, the Malcolm Butler interception. Couldn't get tickets for that one. They were through the roof. The NFL screwed up their ticket allotment, and a single ticket was going for 10 grand the day of the game. So couldn't go. Ended up watching it from at Bevy's, which is a Pat's bar in
Yeah.
that Saddleback area there in Old Town. But yeah, Super Bowls, Patriots. It's a football is important to me. I'm as passionate about that as anything I am in my life. And now it's the Buccaneers. So I learned that most of my life the Patriots have brought me a lot of pain. They were kind of the laughing stock of the league for a lot of times, especially when I was in college. They went 1-15, I think, twice. 2 out of the 4 years at college, they were the worst team in the league. But the last 20 years have been good. Looks like they're on the decline, and I'm just so thankful. My dad lives in Tampa. He's going to the Saints game in a couple weeks, and just super enjoying the Buccaneers. And I can't believe they got Gronk. I can't believe they just got Antonio Brown. I can't believe they got Fournette. They got this formidable defense. They're the clear, in my mind, the clear cut favorite in the NFC. And their schedule is they got to play. They got the Saints. That's a really important game at home. They got the Chiefs. They play at home, and they got the Rams at home. But a lot of their other games are easy. They play Carolina twice. They play Atlanta twice. They play Detroit. I mean, if they don't go 12-4, I'll be really surprised. They could go 13-3 and have the number one seed. Hope so. Hope so. I
Yeah,
hope there's a
yeah,
Super Bowl. It's in Tampa too.
yeah. So would you say that you're okay? So you say that the Patriots are your favorite,
They
but you
really
also
are.
say that you also say Tom Brady is your favorite. But now you say Buccaneers are your team. So would you say that
Yeah.
you're more of like, is it kind of like how people are like with LeBron? Like you followed him when he was in Cleveland, you followed him when he was in like Miami, and now like obviously okay, not for you. This obviously doesn't go for you, and now he's with the Lakers, right? So like,
Oh,
yeah, I get that one. So like, is it more you think of just like a you grew like you kind of you watch this kid from the time he backed up Drew Bledsoe
yeah.
to where he is now, and then you just become just a fan of his like aura, or would
Yeah.
you say that it's just more of like what? I mean, what is it? What do you think it is?
The Patriots, are in my blood. I'm never going to give up on them. My allegiance to them is undying. If I got a tattoo, one of the tattoos I'd get is either the old Patriot or the new Patriot logo. Um, but just like Brady, I think it kind of had run its course. Like this whole regime, I felt like this was a divorce that needed to happen. It was a great relationship for a long period of time. They had 6 wonderful children together, and they just are different people now, and they needed to go their separate ways. And they both have this huge ego, and they needed to prove to themselves that they could do it without the other guy, especially Brady. They weren't giving him the tools that he needed to win. He was over and he did everything he could to kind of subtly orchestrate his way out of there. And a lot of people, some family, some friends really resent the fact that I'm on the Bucks bandwagon. I justify it a little bit because I did go to that Super Bowl to see Tampa. My dad's been a Tampa fan for a long time. He lives in Tampa. I've been to the Raymond James Stadium a couple times, and it was just a fun story. So, I'm a little embarrassed by it. I think it's really easy to be a football polygamist if you're like different conferences. If I all of a sudden was cheering for the Dolphins this year, like I could never cheer for the Dolphins. I could never even cheer for KC or some AFC team. Like the Buccaneers and the Patriots play once every 4 years. They'll never play in the Super Bowl. I think you can cheer for both teams. But the Patriots, the product is not easy to watch. They have been awful the last couple of weeks. And it's just been really easy to pivot and enjoy the Patriots. And I mean, to enjoy the Bucks. They're really, really, it's a fun story. And then I really respect, maybe it has something to do with like my exercise stuff or whatever, but the stuff that Brady's doing is legendary. It's going to be replicated. Like Russell Wilson already wants to play till he's 45. There's guys that are going to play a lot longer now. I mean, doesn't get enough credit for how long he's played, but Brady is really one of the top-rated quarterbacks, certainly in the last 5 weeks. He didn't play well against your Bears. He played like crap week 1, but he's been really good as of late. And he's having fun, and it's just a great story. And I just love what he's been able to do to still have his arm strength and his pliability, and still have. He's like I don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time. Like I would take Elway or Marino or Mahomes will be the greatest quarterback in history. I'd take Rodgers over Brady as like a pure quarterback, but he's the best teammate in the world. He's the best sportsman. He's the best competitor. He's the best leader. And it's obvious, like he turned that team around. He's yelling on the sidelines that Bears game with you. And a lot of people, if that was Phillip Rivers, everyone would hate Phillip Rivers. A lot of people hate Brady for doing it too. But hey, the results happen. They've been a different team ever since then. They don't have any penalties. He's not getting sacked. Like they're way more disciplined team overnight. They look like shit against the Bears. They should have won that game, the Buccaneers. I mean, they gave away a touchdown at the end of the first half and didn't end the game right and lost by 1 point. They could be 6-1, but they're awesome. It's a great story, and it just dominates the headlines. Like this week, it's how bad Cam and the Patriots were and how good the Buccaneers were. I mean, people in Boston are going nuts.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's funny that you say it too, because how I look at it, and I've talked about it before, is that I really believe that the day that Tom Brady retires, is the same day that Drew Brees, not same day, but same year that Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, those three, I think. I mean, those three are like the oldest, right? I mean, obviously Philip
Yeah.
Rivers is a pretty old guy too, but Philip Rivers, I mean,
Same
like
years.
Philip Rivers still like making kids like at his age still. He's got like 9 kids or whatever. Like I don't know if you've
Yeah.
ever heard of a condom before or a vasectomy, but I don't know what his issue is, but I think that's like the key year. It's when Tom Brady. I obviously I think between the three, I think Ben probably goes first.
It's
Then
taking
I
a long.
think then I think I think then maybe I think Drew Brees. I think he still wants to be kind of younger too, so he can still hang out with his family.
Yeah.
And then Tom Brady there, and then right after that, I mean, then you got Phillip, and then you also got, I mean, Rodgers isn't young either. I mean, Rodgers, think about how many years he
36,
backed up.
30. He's
Yeah,
36, 37. Yeah.
I mean, he backed up
Yeah.
Favre for how many years? So you know that he's getting up there in years too. So
Yeah.
it's cool though to see that. Okay, what also always kind of made me nervous was that you have all of these key guys for the longest time, and once they are gone, who's coming? Like who's right now in college and in high school that are coming up that's going to be that next best thing? And that makes
Yeah.
me nervous sometimes because I think, well, what if there isn't anybody? But then I think, what am I thinking? Like there always is going to be someone because you have to think about how deep high school football is. Then you get to to college level, and even like those kids that were like some of the best players in the state,
Yeah.
like don't even do anything in college. So there's
Yeah.
like it's this little minuscule of people, but they're so good. I mean, they're so good at what they do. So I sometimes think about it and go, oh, like there might not be anybody, they're not made by anybody, but every year there's someone new.
Yeah, no, the game's in good hands. When you see Mahomes and Deshaun Watson as an example, I'm not going to mention Mitch Trubisky, but even Josh Allen's been playing good. But then, this year Herbert's playing great, or Aber or whatever. I think it's Herbert. You got Murrow, who's been playing great. Now Tua's, I bet you're going to play well. Kyle Murray is a stud. And then you got, Lawrence, the guy from Ohio State, and there's another guy, coming in. I mean, these young quarterbacks, the game's really has changed, and hopefully those guys are successful. But back to the point, like, guys, Brady is the trailblazer. I know Favre, had that year with Minnesota, and that was late in his career, and that was pretty special. He did that at 41. But Brady, the game's changed with how you hit the quarterback. People have their own nutritionist. They have their own exercise regimen. Brady's under contract through next year, so he'll play 2021. And if he's still playing at a high level and he's still having fun and they're still, a really competitive team, I wouldn't put it by him to sign another 1-year contract or 2-year
Exactly.
contract after that.
See, Mark, what it is that Tom Brady. Okay, I always hated playing against not but I always hated the Bears when they played it
Yeah.
against them because, and not in the sense that he's gonna beat us deep and just out scheme us, right? Like I didn't care about that. That's probably a given already, right? That's already. I mean, it's a 60-40 chance that you're gonna win that game against Brady as it is. Any
Yeah.
team that you put him on, and the thing that I didn't like is that how the Bears defense, when they hit quarterbacks hard. We ended Brett Favre's career. That was his last game he ever played, was up in Minnesota when it was snowing, when their stadium got collapsed in on and they played at the Gopher Stadium. And the
Yeah.
Bears played him and they sacked him like a couple times in the backfield pretty hard. Like, it's cold out and they got like a couple good licks in on him. And he didn't play after that, and that was his final game. And when we played Tom Brady, I've never seen hit Tom Brady hard. Tom Brady is smart. That's why he's in the league still, and that's why he'll still be able to go for so long. Because as soon as someone's coming, he collapses. He knows.
Yeah.
He goes, either I can try to throw this ball away, and I'm still going to get pelted, or I'm going to fall down. Because if I fall down and someone hits me, I'm getting 15 yards as it is right there, and
Yeah.
I put myself in a better situation already. So he's so smart in that sense. But I always hate that about him because
Yeah.
I always want to see I want to see my defense. I want to see the Bears defense smack the hell out of some quarterback. I love it. It's like a kicker running down to try to it's like it's like vice versa. It's like when a punt or something like that and a kicker runs and he's going to tackle someone hard. I think the guy from the Colts a few years ago, forget his name. One of the punters, he smacked some guy once, big bulky dude. I forget his name.
Yeah.
But then that, and then even too, like when a kicker punts or kick off the ball and they're running
Right.
to try to tackle someone and they get blindside hit, like that's the best part of football right there. And
Yeah.
when a defense can smack a quarterback, that's the greatest thing in the world to watch. And against Tom Brady, it's always like a crumble. He crumbles, and it's like this sucks. Like I have there's no joy in this.
Yeah, he's worth more healthy, and yeah, he's got a super quick release. He is really smart. His stats last year were really bad, but no one was open. He threw the ball away, so he didn't take a sack. He doesn't
Yeah.
throw interceptions for the most part, and he does this thing where he knows how to protect himself. Like even when he gets hit, he always protects both shoulders, but particularly his throwing shoulder. You don't want to land on your left shoulder either, because you could dislocate it. But his right is always protected. He's just so super smart, and a lot of people dislike him. But I'm seeing the more he proves himself, and the more this run goes. If you watch the end of the games, the guys are, especially when they win, because he's kind of a pussy when he doesn't win. He'll just leave the field. He didn't talk to Foles. He didn't. He said goodbye to like everybody over these weeks, but he left the field. Never shook. Foles is out there at midfield looking for Brady. Brady was gone because Foles has his number because he beat him twice. But these young kids, they've been playing. They've been playing against them or using them in Madden. Like, for years, they grow up playing Madden. That's how they learn the game, and how a lot of these players. And now they're playing against Brady. He's just become kind of an ambassador. And man, he looks better at 43 than he did at 23. Like the guy is, I don't know what he's taken, what deal he made with the devil or whatever, but
Yeah,
guy's next level.
All right, so kind of moving a little forward here.
Sure. So you want to do this, but I have time, but I do got to talk to my mom in about 45 minutes.
All right, cool. Then we're gonna skip ahead a little bit here then.
Sure.
So obviously like Spygate, Deflategate, all that kind of stuff. I kind of wanted to hit that really quickly.
Sure.
It's funny because I talked about it a couple days ago too, and I ran a podcast as well. And when we talked about it, I kind of said it's like they almost kind of sweep stuff underneath the rug. They bring stuff up like that once in a while, but at the same time, like, how many times have you heard them really talk about, like, when's the last time you heard them talk about the bounty that the Saints had? Like, so at the same time, like, obviously you get these like little, like the Spygate, Deflategate, whatever. Yeah. But that doesn't define the team at all. And it's funny because if you put that into college form, that team would have been, castrated. I mean, they would have lost Heismans, they would have lost Bulls, they would have not gone to the playoffs the next year or whatever else. I mean, like, it's interesting to see because it's like it's football and it's baseball, right? So baseball, same thing. Baseball, you can cheat and still go and try to make it to the World Series, right? But if you bet on a game as a player, you get shunned for life. And Pete Rose. So it's funny to see like just how it kind of plays out like that in that sense.
Yeah. I hate that Pete Rose thing. I found the Houston Astros because I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, and put a plaque underneath there, explain that he did a injustice by gambling, and by the way, he had to gamble on his own team. I don't believe that he didn't, but I still think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Guy's got over 4,000 hits. The guy's won batting titles and championships. The guy Charlie Hustle, he's unbelievable. But the Houston Astros thing's very interesting because people really are still mad at them. We're super happy that they didn't get to the World Series again because they're just so hated based on that. But I think a lot of people hate the Patriots based on it's Spygate, it's Deflategate, and even like last year or the year before they had some video crew take at the Cincinnati Bengals game. It was proven that they weren't cheating, but it was still improper for them to be filming on the sideline. So I think Belichick, like Don Shula, he's now dead, but he hated Belichick, called him Belichick because of the things that he did. So I do think people cheat all the time. You see the guys, with the play, they don't want people reading their lips and stuff. People are always trying to steal signals. I mean, people have been trying to do it all along, but the Patriots are always pushing that envelope more than any other team. I thought the Deflategate thing, Spygate, I think made sense. The Deflategate thing was just ridiculous in my mind, because and Brady ended up being the scapegoat for that. I can't. But I'm thankful people don't talk about that much with him anymore. But he did get suspended 4 games. That did tarnish his legacy a little bit. But he showed them it was the coolest thing in the world for him to be in Houston at the against Atlanta for that Super Bowl, and for him to have won the Super Bowl after getting suspended, and they got the last laugh. Goodell, Kraft said this undoubtedly is the sweetest, and he meant it for a reason, because it was us versus the world. They, our best star, they suspended him, and they still came back, and they still won the Super Bowl in epic fashion. I mean, no one will ever come back. Well, you say that, but if there's one guy that could do it, it's Mahomes.
Oh yeah,
right?
fantastic player. All right, so I did want to bring up this part too, because this kind of popped out to me, because I grew up watching them. Yep. I'm not a big NBA fan, as you know, but I did grow up watching Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rondo for that 1 year or a couple years that he was there. When Doc Rivers was there, Kevin Garnett was playing. I know I didn't know if I could bring it up to you, because I didn't know if it was still too early or whatever else. But you talked about it, and you said that the Celtics they've always been, obviously I'm a Bulls fan, I guess, quote unquote, but not really. Like, all I really could appreciate for a while was, I didn't even watch much when Jimmy Butler was on the team. I watched when it was, Kirk Heinrich and Ben Gordon. Joakim Noah came from Florida. That was super cool. Maybe I watched a little bit then too. Yep. Then obviously we had like Nate Robinson, which was cool because he had a bigger name guy. And then for a few years there, we had Thibodeau. So then we had like a bunch of no names like St. John something, and like they made a good little push against to the Cavaliers in the playoffs and stuff like that. But I didn't really watch much. But when I did watch when I was younger, I watched a lot of Boston, because Boston obviously was always on. Yeah. And Boston Celtics, I think, just iconic team. The fact that Ray Allen finished his legacy towards in Miami, which was cool to see. Obviously he gets to go from here, then he goes to Miami and plays on the same team as LeBron and wins a championship. But the iconic three, that's how he catches the ball and you shoot. I've sat there so many times when I was younger in my driveway, and this one little spot where like it's like the sweet corner, right? It's one sweet corner that we could shoot from. There's a little line right there how our driveway was divided up, and you'd always try to catch it and shoot it just like Ray Allen. So it's always cool, and like you always try to mimic Rondo's passing and Kevin Garnett. You can't hate Kevin Garnett at all. Kevin Garnett is a cool story. He from Timberwolves then to Boston, and just like a big dude that just like was scary. Like he kind of reminded me of he reminded me of a meaner version of Shaq. Like obviously Shaq is much bigger and bulkier, but Shaq always kind of seemed like, even now Shaq seems like the kind of guy you could go get a drink with right now and like have a cigar with and play some golf or whatever and just have a good time. Kevin Garnett, like if you walked up on him in the middle of the street at night, like between the two, if you saw Shaq and like you didn't know who Shaq was, you'd probably be like, whatever. Like he looks like a big teddy bear. Kevin Garnett, though, like in his prime, you'd sit there and go, oh shit, like this guy's about to mess me up.
Yeah. Name is the big ticket. He's got a book coming out really soon. It's supposed to be kind of a tell-all thing. The Celtics were pretty. They weren't really harmonious during that time, and a lot of it had to do with Rondo and Ray Allen is a bit of a handful, I believe. I think those are the things that have come out. But No, Kevin Garnett's spectacular. I'll never forget the year that they won. It wasn't easy. They went to Game 7 with Atlanta. They went to Game 7 with Cleveland, and they beat the Lakers in 6. But everyone does it now. But when people say there was a foul and it wasn't a continuation and someone shot the ball, he would never let it go in. He'd swat it like before it went in. They just had a certain edge to him, and it was all him. If you ever watch him play, like he is the captain on there, especially defensively. Barking orders where people would be. That was a special season. You didn't know it would take hold so fast. I think it was 2008 when they won that time. I was a big Celtics fan growing up. I was a big Larry Bird fan. Really started in 79, 80 when I got into it. But one thing about those teams, and so two things. So Ray Allen, have you ever seen He Got Game? His name is Jesus Shuttleworth. It's a little bit before your time, but he plays the son of what's the black actor that everyone loves from Denzel Washington. Super good movie, but and he's just a fantastic shooter. But they were great in 2008, 2009. I think they lost to Orlando in Game 7. Garnett was like a shell of himself. He was hurt, and they couldn't get to the NBA Finals. They lost Game 7 against Orlando, either in the Eastern Finals or the one before that. 2010, they play the Lakers. They go to Game 7. Kendrick Perkins either didn't play Game 7 or was hurt, and that one hurt a lot. I like Kobe a little bit more now. I think even before he passed, like he aged kind of well. I was taught to hate the Lakers. And I respect their legacy. I respect what what Phil Jackson and those teams were able to do. And Kobe was, a fantastic competitor. And but that 2010 one, the championships that hurt the worst for me, 86 Mets, Red Sox, that one hurts. Nothing hurts worse than the Patriots losing on the Tyree catch in the Super Bowl. I was at that game. But that 2010 game, the Lakers won 82-78 on a Ron Artest. Like Ron Artest, say what you want, he's a great defender or whatever. Every time he shot a three-pointer, everyone in the arena as a Laker fan goes, no, yes, he got it. I mean, I can't believe he made that. I mean, they gave that game away. They just ran out of. I mean, this final score is 82-78. They were dying. But yeah, that was a good little run, and I like what they're doing now. I think you asked me what they could do to be better. I'd always say, get a big man, but the game's changed. I really thought this season was sort of weird. I thought they had a really good chance of winning it all because 3 of those guys played on the U.S. Olympic team or whatever they did for the in preparation for the Olympics. So they got a lot of reps. Tatum's become an alpha. I think they lost because Kemba I don't think he was himself physically. He really was a defensive liability. And I give Butler and Miami a lot of credit. They closed out those games. They deserve to win. But if they can keep that team together, I like their chances. I mean, they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of 4 years. And the only year they weren't is when Kyrie was healthy because he's a cancer. So should be interesting next year. Hope they get to play and with full arenas. Interesting to see what New Jersey does next year when they get Durant and Kyrie and they're already a competitive team. That will change the competitive landscape of the East. But yeah, I love the Celtics. I definitely games as a kid and but I like the NBA as a whole. Like I'll watch any NBA game. I'll watch any NFL game. Baseball and hockey a little different. But yeah, all these young players and how well they're passing the ball, everyone's shooting threes. Like the NBA is so much fun to watch right now. So you got to get to more.
It's funny. So it's so obviously the betting atmosphere of sports. So obviously football is an easy one to bet on. Hockey is a hard one to bet on because if you think about it, it's probably the luckiest sport. I mean, each goalie could pitch a shutout till the 5 minutes left in the third period, and one little bad bounce, and the goals, and the puck's in, and the spread is at 1.5 or 1 or something like that, or half a goal or whatever. Like that doesn't even make sense. So, like that's a hard one, but football is a super easy one. I think baseball is a fun one to bet on when it's like playoffs, right? Because you see the team over and over again. But I
Yeah.
think basketball is a fun one to do as well. Basketball is a fun one because of the spread, right? Obviously, you have a better team. And then obviously, like the over unders are fun with those too because they put the over under at like 216, So it's like, all right, so you're expecting a big game here. And so it's just as funny too because like in the bubble when we watched a couple of those games where it was like a lower end scoring game, and we're
Yeah.
like, it's only the third, it's a third quarter, and this is the score right now. It's kind of weird. Um, like you have to think like, oh, someone bet the over at probably at 208, and they're not going to even come close to that. You know what I mean? So that's a fun one to bet on. But it's funny too, like how you say, you watch everything. I think I like to say I watch everything too. I mean, I think basketball. I think NBA basketball is at the lowest.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think I
You're a big
think
hockey guy.
obviously NFL, hockey, college football, college basketball.
Yeah.
Baseball kind of fits in there a little bit because if the Cubs are doing well, obviously
Yeah.
I'm not a fair weather fan, but if
Yeah.
the Cubs are doing
It's
well,
easier.
obviously if they suck, I'm not going to sit there and watch 162 games with them. But
Yeah.
this year, I think I watched 50 of their 60 games in regular season,
Wow.
just because there was nothing else to watch really. Obviously I watched their playoffs, their two losses against Miami, but no, so like just basketball is a little tougher for me, but it's weird because when I was younger, I used to watch, like I said, I watched the Celtics all the time. I mean, I
Yeah.
watched I watched Cavaliers, I watched the Celtics, and then I watched the Heat a lot too when he went there, right? Because they're so cool. Like I hated him because of his interview. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
I
The
think that he
decision.
could have, I think he could have done that completely different when how he said it, and some people disagree with me on this one, and that's okay. And it's the best part about America, right? We have our opinions,
Yeah.
and we're able to speak them how we want. But the biggest thing with me and him is when he came on camera and he said, "I'm going to take my talents to South Beach."
Yeah.
I didn't like that, and I love hot dogs. I love people that like.
Yeah.
I hate Philip Rivers, but I love him because he talks shit. Like I love stuff like that, and I love when people are just kind of hotheads because I think I'm a hothead kind of. That's how I was in sports. I mean, baseball, I was the biggest hothead there was.
Yeah.
I'd yell at umpires and throw helmets and go crazy
Yeah.
because it's a part of the game.
Yeah.
It's what gets people going, and guess what got me going. But I hated that from him when he said, "I'm going to take my talents." If he would have said, I've decided to go and play for Miami Heat and try to create try to expand my legacy there or something like
Yeah.
that. Because he already had a legacy at the point. I mean, you're coming out of college or coming out of high school as
Yeah.
arguably the best player to ever play the game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was just tough for me when he did that whole little spectacle and then the show, they had the dancing beforehand, and then he's like, not one, not two, not three. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you never got that far anyways. So
Yeah.
that felt good for me to see him not get that far yet, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, I think there's still a
Yeah.
lot of time for him, but
Yeah.
I didn't like it when he said that.
Yeah, no, that was regretful. I'm sure he would, I'm sure he has or would now say that he regrets it. You can't, you, it's ill-advised, especially with a team or a community like Cleveland and how those people bleed over their sports teams. It wasn't the way to do it. Imagine if Tom Brady did, I mean, that same thing right now, and I'm going to take my talents to Tampa or something. Like, there are plenty of people in Massachusetts or the New England states that are disappointed or mad at him for doing it. But if he did that, I mean, he would be villainized. And the cool thing about the LeBron story, and I've not liked him for a long time. But I can't help but respect how, he could be one of the best players, if not the best player of all time. But the fact that he got a second chance. So he won his championships in Miami. The fact that he went back to Cleveland, got them a championship, the way he did it coming down 3-1, beating a team that went 73-9. They're like the equivalent of that 18-1 Patriots team. Like one of the best teams ever. They didn't win. No one's come back from 3-1 in the NBA Finals before. So the fact that he won with Cleveland and now he won in LA, I mean, it's incredible what he's done. And, he's not my favorite person outside the game. Some of the stuff he says and his brand and all that stuff, but he jumps off the screen. Like I can't believe he didn't win MVP this year. Like he is, in the regular season. Like that guy is a stud, and he's 35 or 36 years old. He's still going to do it next year. He's a beast. So, but yeah, very terrible thing for him to do. The decision there with Jim Gray, that was awful. Funny in hindsight. Like if you watch it now, it'd be a bad movie. It would look with those guys dancing and stuff. Not one, not two. It has to look so cheesy. But it was done. I can't take it back.
Yep. All right, so we're trying to come close to wrapping it up here soon for you.
Yep.
So I didn't want to get into it because we've talked about it before.
Sure.
But you've talked about that you've only puked like a handful of times. Now, for the audience that are listening, I want you to paint you a picture right now. I know this guy for I knew this guy for the 7 minutes I met him the first day, and then we spent that 14-hour day. And in that 14-hour day, he decided that he's going to show me what's on his phone. And I've never seen someone have a list of times that they've thrown up in their life. Because I'll be honest with you, too. I mean, I can think in my head right now, it's probably only been about 5 times, and probably 3 of them was probably because I was actually sick, like with the flu. And maybe like the other 2 times are maybe from something else. But other than that, nothing really. So I want you to get into that a little bit because that's an interesting story.
All right. So I like to do lists. I try to write these things down. Like I have a list of every birdie I've ever made, which is not that many, sadly. But yeah, I do have a spreadsheet of my vomit history. And I can't take total credit for that because if anyone ever watched Seinfeld back in the day, he boasted about the fact that he didn't throw up either. So I think I kind of got it from him. But it occurred to me, like I very rarely do it. Like I'll not feel well or whatever, but very, very rarely. So there's 2 good ones. I'm going to do one for you. And this is back in like 2006, 2007. I just met this gal. I was going to a wedding with a good friend of mine. They're having it at the Red Rock Casino out there in Summerlin. Super fun. It's like, everybody's in their mid-30s in Vegas for the weekend. It's Friday night. Just super fun to have all these young couples, a lot of single people. And my girlfriend at the time lived in Vegas, so she met all these people for the first time. So the Friday night, we go to dinner at some Mexican restaurant. It was called Cabo Cantina or something like that. We all got around this one table, a bunch of us, and we're playing blackjack. And there was this Vietnamese guy that worked for the recruiting agency that my buddy worked at that was getting married. His name happened to be Viet. And I don't know what it was, but he wanted to do shots. I mean, this guy I don't know how he could do them. He was like 5'1". But it's like the server would come, we're at the table, I would go beer, shot, beer, shot, beer, shot. And this was after like already, drinking before we hit the tables. So it's going to be a very embarrassing story. So at one point in time, I've got to go to the bathroom. And if you know Vegas, they intentionally like hide the exits. Like it's hard to get around there because they don't want you to leave. They want you to be confused. Well, I got really confused of where the bathroom was. And Red Rock is kind of a big circle. It shouldn't be that hard. Like you can keep on going in the circle and find one within 100 feet or something, right? Well, I can't find the bathroom, walking. I finally find the bathroom. I'm just outside the bathroom. And I start to pee. I can't hold it in. It starts coming down. Like I have jeans on, you can see it. It's coming out the bottom of my jeans. Like, again, I'm not my best self. I don't even know where I'm at, basically. I finish in the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom. Now I try to find the guys and try to find where my table was. I'm walking around, aimlessly with soiled pants, trying to find the guys, can't find them. I end up getting to the sports book. And so I'm at the sports book and I'm next to like a stand-up, one of those slot machines or whatever. And I'm not doing well, and so they saw me already. Like security comes over, they're like, "Sir, are you okay?" I'm like, I'm incoherent. Like they can't even hear me, and so they're like, do you know where your room is? So on and so forth. And I'm like, I was able to tell them where my room was, or give them my room key or my name. They're able to figure it. They bring a wheelchair over because they're going to wheel me up to the room. So before we go up to the room, I'm sitting there, soiled jeans, sitting on a wheelchair. I'm 36 years old, and I just go, and I threw up on myself. So now I've peed myself and threw up on myself. I'm in a wheelchair. Imagine getting wheeled through the center of the lobby to get to an elevator with 2 security guards to get to your room. I was mortified. I felt so bad. I'm like, I tipped both the guys $20. I remember doing it. I felt so bad to put these guys through what I did. I was so embarrassed. But yeah, I mean, when they happen, they're pretty epic. Another time for the Cabo story. The Cabo story is pretty epic as well. But yeah, it's probably been 10 years since I've thrown up, and probably only thrown up 5 times since I've been 20.
I can't believe it. That's like
No.
it's weird though, because you know what it is like in Vegas, it's the atmosphere. Like I told someone the other day, it was that Saturday of drinking because I got up super early. I gotta stop and think for a second. You're sitting in a wheelchair. All I'm thinking about now is like Paul
Thank God,
Pierce getting wheeled off, and he said later on that he had to shit or he shit his pants.
thank God no one was there to take a picture or video of it. Like it would have gone viral. Would have never lived it down. Would have never lived it down.
No, you wouldn't have. It would have been following you around for life.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that's crazy. I like see that's why it's funny though, because in Vegas that's how you have it where it's the atmosphere where you think you're invincible almost. You
Yeah.
can I mean like it's not something I'm gonna be proud of, but I think I put down well over 50 to 60 drinks on that Saturday. Uh, and just because I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning
Yeah.
I went to bed at 4 o'clock. I woke up at 6 to get a sports book spot to sit down. Started drinking right away. I don't think I ate anything until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And that point, I remember at one point looking at my buddy and going, "Hey, we should probably think about like dinner tonight." And he goes, or like we should think about like some lunch. And he goes, "Lunch, man. It's only 9 o'clock." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, like all right, now I know where I'm at now." But it's the atmosphere in Vegas that allows you to, just be belligerent and be okay. But I guess it's the reversing of doing shots and beer. That's that mixture right there. It's like I know there's like that saying. It's like beer before I forget what
Liquor.
it is. Is it beer before liquor?
Liquor never sicker. Liquor before beer, have no fear.
Yeah. And then my brother-in-law always says his favorite thing when I say that, he goes, my motto is just don't be a bitch. And
My
he goes,
motto now that I'm 50 is just don't do shots.
yep, yep.
Well, in Mexico, definitely do tequila. That's the shot for me, for sure. But yeah, I've retired from my shot drinking. Although I did some fireball on the golf course last weekend, but I got bullied into that. Only one though. That's the
All right.
baby shot.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you gotta take off here soon. I know you gotta get the COVID test too, which will be fun. Hopefully they don't find anything too weird up in the nose, maybe a little too much nose hair or something like that. I don't know, but I appreciate coming on. Just talking about everything you did, and I think this was one of the best conversations I've had. This podcast is slowly growing and growing and growing, and I believe that this was probably the best conversation I've had. Now, obviously, me saying that, other people are going to be really upset, saying, "Oh, what does that mean?" But this is one of the best conversations because normally we are either drinking and it's so belligerent where really dumb stuff come out of people's mouths, or it's 100% sports. So you only
Yeah.
get a certain audience for either one. You get either you want to listen to 3 assholes talk for 3 hours
Yeah.
and just get drunk and talk stupid, or do you want to listen to myself and my buddy Chris talk about football for an hour? You take your pick. So this is one of the best conversations I think I've had on the podcast. Actually, and especially because, sober mind too. So you're really able to,
Yep.
to ingest everything. And I really appreciate you coming on.
No, thanks for having me. Really proud of you. You're well beyond your years, as I tell you several times. You're doing great, and anytime, buddy. And I'll see you at happy hour tonight.